Hi guys, you're on the Royal Cameraman channel. Welcome to part 2 of this video, in which we take a look at footage from a working archive leaked by a former Dafook employee. This huge archive contains many spoilers and footage from both the upcoming 26th season and the 25th season. There's so much information that I couldn't fit it all into one video, but I'll try to do it today. If you have not watched the previous part of the video review of the archive, then be sure to watch it, because in it, I told you about the shots and details that show us the 25th season from a new angle, as well as a couple of exclusives that did not make it into today's video. Well, today, we will take apart the rest of the archive, which contains the most interesting and not shown anywhere before. Let's not hesitate and start the review. The first frame will be a screenshot made during the animation of the additional scene of Season 25, wherein the memories of Lucky Cameraman, author of the series, saved him from the evil toilet skibidi. In general, before the release of Season 25, Dafook already threw a similar spoiler in the fandom. However, he was a little different angle and in better quality. Most likely this frame was the original version for this spoiler. And the next frame is already much more interesting. Some might think that it shows the very skibidi toilet that Lucky was saved from, but it's not. This toilet has glasses on his face, and they weren't in the series. Through a short search, I found out that this frame is taken from ROFL Dafook's videos, where he slapped the toilet personified YouTuber Nemi in different characters, which at that time very much quarreled with the author of the series. These clips he wanted to mark the expulsion of conflicted YouTuber from the fandom. In addition to those videos were also published and footage that some fans perceived as a spoiler for the season. However, it was just a spoiler to the ROFL video. In these photos, we are most interested in the cap, which is not in our screenshot. Also, by the way, if we compare the toilet from the screenshot and the toilet from the seasonal episode, it turns out that the first one has much less brains than the toilet shown to us in the series. Most likely with this photo, Dafook wanted to also tease Nemi, showing how dumb his character is, but still decided to leave this picture in his gallery and not to publish anywhere else. Although in the end, it still got into our hands, and now we can understand how much Dafook cruel jokes on his opponents. The next frame in the archive is a photo in which the character of a YouTuber elite cameraman corrects his bow tie and looks at the improved version of a TV woman. What interests me most in this shot is not the YouTuber's character, but what is behind the TV woman's back. In this shot, we can finally get a good look at her back. Let me remind you that in the previous part of my video, I have already reviewed the shot where you can see many details of the TV woman's costume. Many of them were not even shown in the series, but still, we couldn't see the back. Now, what really caught my eye was this wheel. It reminded me a lot of the wheel that was also on the back of Big TV Man. After all, it was attached to it and his 2 additional claws, which could reflect projectiles. Perhaps this improvement is either waiting for a TV woman or is already on it. I cannot say for sure, as this obscure construction behind her back may be a claw in a complex state and something else, which we will learn later. The next frame is not clear where it came from at all. I somehow seem familiar with his corner of the cap, which is seen from above. However, the specific moment or the series in which he participated I cannot remember. It's probably a character that will appear in the next episode. Well, or if I'm wrong and this character has already been shown in the series, then let me know in the comments. Then there's some evil, self-confident red Dafook. In general, I think this is some other character, as the original Dafook character doesn't have ears sticking out as much. The rest of the facial features are pretty similar, though. I'm very confident to tell you that this character is bound to appear in the 26th season. If we look closely at his background, we will realize that, in fact, it is not just a black background, but some room lighting that comes from the floor. And also in this room is some obscure interior thing. I remind you that we see not just a black background, which is usually added to all ROFL moments that have no plot weight, as for example in the photo shown by me. And this is a particular badly rendered moment in the series. Maybe it's some secret agent's assistant who works in the room with him and the secret woman shown to us at the end of the 25th season. The next frame also shows us a certain Dafook accomplice. How do I know that? If we take a closer look at his account, we can see that he has smoothly shaved cheeks, but the secret agent doesn't. And the new red agent has stubble sticking out too, which means the agent in the footage is someone else. He reminds me of Dexter from the TV series of the same name. The next frame is the original secret agent, who clearly worked on his image and became very similar to Sigma. Well, the next frame deserves special attention. On it, we see a certain outline of the secret agent. This screenshot is clearly made in the moment of movement, as all the figures in the background are blurred and have a double contour. At first, I assumed that it could be some kind of hologram of a female agent. As we remember in the last addendum scene of the 25th season, we were shown how it can completely repeat the outline of any object and could potentially disguise herself as a secret agent. But after carefully reviewing the entire extra scene, I found no such effect in the transformation. And then another thought occurred to me. Perhaps the shot depicts one of the secret agent's previously unknown abilities, namely displacement. That would easily explain how he suddenly appears and disappears in the middle of battle in completely random places. Most likely, the mechanism of such movement is similar to the movement of TV men, but based on some other technology. Let's not forget that Dafuk was in charge of the Alpha Hills lab, and that's where the TV men got their teleportation technology. Interestingly, in this shot, we can even see some of the details hidden in the secret agent's body. For example, we can see how in the right pocket, similar to the last scene where he appeared, is some kind of remote control. We can see through his legs and very oddly passing bones. I am especially confused by this bend on his left leg. From above, we can see his glasses, tie, watch on his right hand, and something strange on his torso. Perhaps these details will be revealed a little later. And even now, looking at this screenshot, and especially at his curved legs, we can assume that the secret agent is not human, but rather another race, a computer man. We see how his legs are built, but we don't see what's in his torso or his head. Instead, there's some kind of ripple here that makes it hard to see anything. I assume that in place of this ripple are a lot of chips, which simply cannot reflect normally during teleportation, the phenomenon of which we see in the screenshot. You can argue with me and say that I'm wrong, that I don't have enough evidence and I'm baselessly assuming that Dafuk is a computer man, but you're wrong. Let's take a look at the next screenshot. The next two frames show the secret agent's face from two slightly different angles, and as you can see, his eyes are glowing bright green, like the energy that was glowing around the female agent. Such glowing eyes are a clear indication of the secret agent's non-humanity. And another, perhaps not so important detail, is the fact that in these two shots, the secret agent has his tie raised, unlike in the shot we examined a couple minutes ago. In this one, his tie is down and we can see the button of his shirt. Most likely, in the next episode, we will see Dafuk's address again, where he will be constantly adjusting his tie. Or maybe the author was just playing with the model and made these funny shots. It's really amazing how demanding Dafuk is to details, and it's no wonder that each episode takes so much time. Well then, let's put the Dafuk character aside for the moment and move on to the next shot in the archive. It shows Cameraman riding in a red Lego car. Recall that recently Funko Pop Company announced figures Skibidi Toilet, so it is logical to assume that Dafuk are also involved in the development of Lego game by Skibidi Toilet. Otherwise, I can't find an explanation why he needed to mix a cameraman into Lego World, knowing how busy Dafuk is. He wouldn't do such a time-consuming job just for the fun of it. So we're waiting for this game. And the next shot asks more questions than it answers. Because of the poor quality of the picture and unclear background, it is hard to say for sure what it is. Personally, this character reminded me of a big speaker. Perhaps after a long time of his absence from the series, Speakerman was improved beyond recognition, making him a killing machine. I think it's just the speaker man's head in the shot. Looking at the picture again, the visor on top reminded me very much of the Titan's visor. I can't say what it is, because the distance between the eye and the cap is too big and very different from the past image of Titan, and the Titan's face looks completely different. In the next frame, we see the very first added scene from the 25th season in which the Vantis man rescued Katie from the accident in the complex. Apparently, the author just liked the way his character was mowed down and took a screenshot. Well, in the next two frames, we also see the same character, only with a swollen and crooked face. Then there's a shot of Katie and the plunger man in the hallway. There's nothing interesting here, so let's move on. And then there's a more exciting shot. Here we see G-Man. Many may think that this shot is taken from the last scene of the 25th episode, where he fought with Astro Juggernaut, but it's far from it. If you look closely, you can see that in the original scene, G-Man had one robotic eye, and on the frame, both eyes are normal. There is no necklace on his head, and also on his left arm, there is a blade that was not in the series. This was most likely some initial concept of G's costume, which was changed and finalized for the series. Next, we see a shot where two models of Astro Juggernaut and G-Man are in each other. Most likely this is the original version of the moment when Astro tried to hit the hologram. It's just that in this shot, G-Man is still not transparent as it was shown in the series. Another interesting detail here is that the lighthouse on the bottom left is missing the green glow, as well as the silhouette of the female secret agent. By the way, let's talk about her a little bit. In the series, I found it very strange that she was standing there watching G-Man fight the Juggernaut. It seems to me that the hologram of G-Man wasn't actually a hologram that Skibidi Toilet planned to make. It was a hologram that was made by a secret woman with her contrived ability to copy the outlines of various objects. Maybe G wasn't on the battlefield at all, but sitting thousands of kilometers away from the battle. What if from the very first frames of G's appearance in the 77th episode, it was a hologram? In the beginning, it mimicked the weight of its limbs and could hit the Astro Juggernaut, but couldn't take physical damage in return. That would explain why Astro never managed to hit the Juggernaut. G was like a ghost that could lift an object, but at the same time could not receive physical damage to its body. That's why the Astro Juggernaut's unsuccessful strikes left a red energy mark on the hologram. The hologram took no damage, but its stability became worse and worse with each blow. Eventually, the hologram stopped being physical and became just an image that flew in the air and tried to talk the Juggernaut into peace. However, this is just a theory. If you disagree with it, then welcome to the comments below the video. Let's move on to the next file. Next, we see not just a plant in a pot, and masquerading as this interior design secret agent woman. Nothing interesting here, so let's move on. The next three files are the most common screenshots from the series without any changes. They show Astro Juggernaut, G-Man stretching his arms, as well as the moment where we see the base of the Alliance on behalf of Man's camera made. What follows are some pretty funny shots, such as this egg with the face of the best friend Dafouk steak, as well as some obscure photo with a very fat man at the table. But at the end, of course, the most interesting shots were left in the archive, which we will analyze right now. In this photo, we can see a not-ready scene from the upcoming 78th series. We can see that the action in this frame takes place on the base of the Alliance. The protagonist on whose behalf we are watching this frame is presumably lying on the floor, and to him reaches his hand Skibidi Mutant with a not-yet-ready texture. It can be understood by his purple mouth and bright yellow eyes. By the way, he seems very familiar to me, but I cannot remember where I could see him. If you know, then write in the comments. So here it is. To the left of him is a big TV man. You can also see his claw in the frame. It looks pretty blurry, and most likely this screenshot was taken while it was moving. He may even be swinging at the mutant to hit him from the back, but that's not the main thing to pay attention to in this photo. Let's not forget that the cameraman, being on his own base, somehow ended up lying down. I don't think he just slipped. There are several possibilities. Most likely, the Astros somehow found the cameraman's base and raided it. This couple wanted to save the poor cameraman who was injured, or another option. The Skibidi Toilets could betray the Alliance and decide to destroy their base. Perhaps this toilet is hostile toward the main character, and the TV man, whom we see in the background, is trying to save the cameraman by hitting the toilet on the back with his claw. It is also important to note that in this frame, TV Man is present. They are not frequent guests at the Alliance's base, and after the destruction of their main base, many televisions likely relocated to live at the cameraman's base for some time. And in the last frame of this archive, there is a certain black cameraman who personally reminds me very much of Plunger Man. Most likely, this is some future replacement for him. As we can see, there are upgrades on his back. It's hard to even guess what they might do. One can't help but notice how stylishly he is dressed. A black shirt, a black cloak, and some glowing pendant around his neck. This is likely also part of his upgrade. Such a fashionable character will clearly not be an ordinary foot soldier. If we take a closer look at his head, we can notice a white rectangle on the right side of his head. To me, it resembles the translator-retransmitter used by TV Man to communicate with ordinary people. It converts incoherent sounds into speech, understandable to humans. As you can see, the location of this frame is also at the cameraman's base. So, it's likely that we will see both of these characters in the upcoming 78th episode. Well, that's all for today. Thank you all for watching. I worked hard on this video, and I hope if you liked it, you won't hesitate to give it a like and also subscribe to my channel. Bye, everyone.